White Rose, the group in Nazi Germany that spoke out against Hitler and his regime, and were eventually decapitated, we now look back at them and go, way to be brave, way to do the right thing, and we look back at the people who punished them and hurt them as stupid, evil, mindless, nasty people. They were criminals. The White Rose was a bunch of criminals because the law said you don't criticize the regime. They were also the good guys. And if you look in history over and over and over again, you will see that the law-abiding taxpayers were the enablers of evil, and the criminals were the ones pushing humanity forward. So those of you in law enforcement, you might want to keep that in mind, that you will not be remembered as great, brave heroes. You will be remembered as what you are, unthinking thugs. Now, to those of us out here causing trouble and spreading ideas that people don't want to hear about, like, maybe we should interact non-violently, the message for you all, steal a little bit from things Stefan said at PorkFest, which I thought was awesome. I may have been the only sober person in the room hearing it at the time. But future generations will look back at those of us who dared to say what was true but completely unpopular, and say, thanks. Thank you for starting to push humanity in the right direction against the tide. And like Stefan's opening remarks, you don't wait for the tide, be the tide. Push it forward yourself. And if you're waiting around for someone else to do it first, they're not going to. Everybody's waiting around for someone else to do it first. Push it when it's uncomfortable and unpopular. And future generations will look back at us and say, well, I'm glad somebody back then was pushing in the right direction while the rest of the compliant, unthinking people were going along with evil. And that leads me to the last group that I want to send a message to. Again, statism is going to fall. We are going to have a stateless society. There is going to be a time when everybody recognizes as painfully obvious, as completely self-evident, that no human being can have the right to rule another human being. That no amount of rituals and documents and pseudo-religious garbage can bestow upon any group the right to forcibly aggress against another. It doesn't matter if you call it constitutions or elections or appointments or divine right of kings. Whatever you call it, it's bogus, start to finish. And there will come a time when not only everybody realizes that, but everybody has trouble imagining people believing otherwise. And my wife and I are lucky enough to get a brief little glimpse of that from our daughter, who was never raised to believe in authority. And I think she seriously has trouble imagining why anybody would. Why would anybody imagine that some gang over there has the right to steal a chunk of whatever you earn? It's insane. And when you escape the lie, you see how insane it is. The people inside the lie, and I was inside the lie most of my life and zealously advocated it and believed it. So I'm not pretending that I started out with any clue what the truth was. But the people still in the lie don't see it as a lie. But my message to them is, you're going to. Because I can point out to you thousands of people, I'm only one of them, who have gone from statist indoctrination to actual humanity. I don't know anyone who went back. It's a one-way street, and it may be very slow to get a majority there, or to get everybody there, but it's a one-way street. It only goes towards enlightened understanding of reality. It only goes away from the lie. Now, the group may be small and it may grow very slowly, but there is no amount of violence that will stop it. Even if, look up for bombers, even if something were to fall out of the sky and blow this place to smithereens and kill us all, it would come up again, because humanity is that way. The struggle for freedom and actual civilization, it keeps showing up throughout history. it shows up as criminals and malcontents who don't want to go with the flow and don't want to play by the rules. And thank goodness for them. But my message to the rest of the world, not the law enforcers, not the people here, everybody else, about 6 billion of them, is this: there will come a day when the things you don't want to think about because they're uncomfortable and they're unpopular and you'd rather just say, no, I'm just going to live my life and not make waves. Everybody's going to know them. Everybody is going to know them. And they're going to look back at today and look back at all the people who didn't want to hear it, who didn't want to think about it, who just, well, I'm going to vote. I vote, so I do my civic responsibility and I don't really want to hear anything else. And they're going to say, holy smokes, what a sad reflection on humanity that such a basic concept of don't aggress against your neighbor was accepted by this tiny percentage of the population, and everybody else thought it was perfectly fine. And in the future, whether it's your children or their children or however many generations down, if you're still alive when the truth becomes popular, and your kids or their kids, your grandkids, whatever, comes to you and say, yeah, you lived through that time where they worshiped this mythical thing called government, right? Yeah. And what did you do about it? I voted. To all you people out there, do you think that that's going to make future generations happy about what you are doing and advocating right now? Do you think that going with the flow, look back at history to answer this question. Do you think that going with the flow absolves you of responsibility for what you believe, what you do, what you advocate today? Because it doesn't. If everyone around you advocates evil, the right thing to do is go against everyone around you. It's not to go with the flow. And there will come a time where everybody knows that government is a lie. Right now, it's a very small percentage of people that know that. There will be a day when everybody knows that, and they will look back at the people who wouldn't accept it, who wouldn't think about it, but who went along with the game called politics as completely duped, ignorant. They will view them the way we would view a tribe that still throws people into a volcano to offer sacrifices to their god. That is as rational as the belief in government is. And the fact that right now there's only a few people in the tribe saying, maybe the volcano is just a geological thing and it isn't a god at all and we shouldn't be throwing people into it. It's a tiny percentage right now. Eventually it'll be everybody. And we look back at the tribes who did such things and caused pain and suffering and misery and think, oh, how unenlightened, how primitive, how pathetic. It's good we moved forward. Well, we still have a lot of moving forward to do.